Hi, everyone. This is Mr. Henderson. Today I'm going to be reading to you the text Rosie Revere Engineer by Andrea Beatty. Before I start reading to you guys, I'm going to activate my schema. I see the word engineer in our title, and I know that engineers build things. So, using my schema and using my title, Rosie is going to be an engineer and she's going to build something in this text. What do you think Rosie's going to build? Let's start reading and find out what is Rosie going to build in our text today. This is the story of Rosie Revere, who dreamed of becoming a great engineer. In Lila Greer's classroom at Blue River Creek, young Rosie sat shyly, not daring to speak. But when no one saw her, she peeked in the trash for treasures to add to her engineer's stash. And late at night, Rosie rolled up her sleeves and built in her hideaway under the eaves. Alone in her attic, the moon high above, dear Rosie made gadgets and gizmos she loved. And when she grew sleepy, she hid her machines far under the bed where they'd never be seen. So she's staying up late at night, she's building, she's being an engineer. When Rosie was young, she had not been so shy. She worked with her hair swooping over one eye and made fine inventions for her uncles and aunts, a hot dog dispenser and helium pants. Helium plants are like in a balloon. The helium is what's in a balloon. So his pants made him fly. The uncle she loved most was a zookeeper Fred. She made him a hat to keep the snakes off his head, from parts of a fan and some cheddar cheese spray, which everyone knows keeps the pythons away. And when it was finished, young Rosie was proud, but Fred slapped his knee and chuckled out loud. He laughed till he wheezed and his eyes filled with tears, and all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who stood there embarrassed, perplexed, and dismayed. She looked at the cheese hat and looked away. I love it, Fred hooted. Oh, I truly do. But Rosie Revere knew that could not be true. She stuck the cheese hat on the back of her shelf, and after that day, she kept her dreams to herself. So she thinks he didn't like it. So now she's going to stop building. And that's how it went until one autumn day, her oldest relation showed up for a stay. Her great great aunt Rose was a true dynamo who worked building airplanes a long time ago. She told Rosie tales of things that she had done and goals she had checked off her list one by one. She gave a sad smile as she looked to the sky. The only thrill left on my list is to fly. But time never lingers as long as it seems. I'll chalk that one up to an old lady's dream. So Rosie wants to build something that flies. What do you think she's going to build? That night, as Rosie laid wide-eyed in bed, a daring idea crept into her head. What could she build a gizmo to help her aunt fly? She looked at the cheese hat and said, "No, not I. But questions are tricky and some hold on tight." And this one kept Rosie awake through the night. So when dawn approached and red streaks lit the sky, young Rosie knew just how to make her aunt fly. She worked till the day was half gone, then hauled her cheese copter out onto the lawn to give her invention a test just to see the ridiculous flop it might turn out to be. Do you think her cheese copter was going to fly? Strapped into the cockpit, she flipped on the switch. The Helio cheese copter spurted and twitched. It floated a moment and whirled round and round, then froze for a heartbeat and crashed to the ground. Oh no. Then Rosie heard laughter and turned around to see the old woman laughing and slapping her knee. She laughed till she wheezed and her eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere. Who thought? Oh, no, never. Not again will I try to build something to sputter or spin, or build with a lever, a switch, or a gear. And never will I be a great engineer. Rosie's given up. She turned round to leave, but then great great Aunt Rose grabbed hold of young Rosie and pulled her in close and hugged her and kissed her and started to cry. You did it! Hooray! It's perfect first try. This great flop is over. It's time for the next. Young Rosie was baffled, embarrassed, and perplexed. I failed, said dear Rosie. It's just made of trash. Didn't you see it? The cheesecopter crashed. Yes, said her great aunt, it crashed. That is true. But first, it did just what it needed to do. Before it crashed, Rosie, before that, it flew. Your brilliant first flop was a raging success. Come on, let's get busy. On to the next. She handed a notebook to Rosie Revere, who smiled at her aunt as it all became clear. Life might have its failures, but this was not it. The only true failure can come if you quit. Her great great aunt was telling Rosie, don't give up. It didn't fly for a long time, but at least it did fly for her first invention, which is awesome. Gotta keep going to make it better. They worked till the sun sneaked away to its bed. Aunt Rose tied her headscarf around Rosie's head and sent her to sleep with a smile ear to ear, to dream the bold dreams of a great engineer. At Blue River Creek, all the kids in grade 2 build gizmos and gadgets and doohickeys too. With each perfect failure, they all stand and cheer, but none quite as proudly as Rosie Revere. Look at all of those different gadgets and gizmos that they built. The end. So, what do we learn from Rosie in this text? What is the main thing that we learn from Rosie? We learned that the only true failure can come if you quit. You got to keep trying and working hard until you reach your ultimate goal. Love, Mr. Henderson.